Thank you, Dan. Yeah. So what I was saying was, the slide there about the depth of retracement and what moved it here. And let me get the pointer out. You might be thinking, was that the Trump rally, as there was the last time he was elected? And you might remember the markets being down overnight, like 800 plus points, and then in the morning, turning around and rallying sharply. And this was like a non-event over here at this time. Um, and I believe, again, 2020 hindsight, that began to happen in earnest, here or here. And of course, Mark, we always look at, regardless of what's going on in the news, it's about patterns and support, resistance, so on and so forth. Um, but there were many, different podcasts of people being interviewed at the time that was some startling things that were being communicated. One of them that I had heard was how uh, the Biden administration, whoever was controlling it, was guiding many businesses to not open up new businesses. And I forget the guy's name. He was on Rogan. That is head of I guess not a hedge fund, but an investing company. Um, that was that the government's going to take over, and there's going to be several businesses that are running the government will run them or be in control of them. And so there was this big shift out away from that because then here was, just the whole thing that the country was built on as far as, capitalism and all. And so you see what was at that inauguration, all of these people, whether it was Zuckerberg or Bios or the Apple guy and all of these billionaires and CEOs that were there, that there was this massive shift that occurred, and foreign leaders. Correct. I mean, it was like a fantastic thing to see. Hopefully no more wars and peace and prosperity and so on and so forth. Um, so we'll all be anxious to see, what transpires in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. So here was, what moves the market and this rally. We all know in hindsight the craziness that occurred. Uh, I forget what the jobless claims or the market tanked. Okay, we're not going to get any heroin, liquidity, more rate cuts. And then last week, the other, whatever it was, I can go and look, it doesn't matter. Economic report that came out that was weaker, a tenth of 1%. Hey, reduction in inflation. It was like, okay, new hopes again, and up and away. Interest rates dropped and markets went up. And so here's our depth of retracement, 100% looking at the futures. And we see that in many, many markets. So here we shift from the head and shoulders top that we had talked about, right? Head and shoulders top, and break of the neckline, came down to the next support. We'll look at the S&Ps. They filled the gap, and there was the technical blip, or just move up from the filling of the gap or this major support line. And then this was the day that the news came out and this deep retracement. So what do we do from here? Besides recognizing that from a swing trading perspective, this is a mess. And if this was the close of the trading day and we were looking at the S&P, not the futures, I'd be saying, okay, we got to go long above here. There's really no void. It isn't a great thing, but fear of missing out. Maybe it makes new all-time highs. I think we have to take it with a stop under the low. It's the beginning of the day. We don't have that. So go back to our factory work. So if you go back and watch the pre-market videos, um, the analysis is always the same. This was a deep retracement as well. This was a deep retracement as well. And why, I reiterated schizophrenic price action in this week's advisory letter. And so when we see a wide range bar, the expectation is it stays in the lower half. If it's truly weak, it rattles around. And maybe you get a bearish 1, 2, 3, and it goes lower. And we had these wild movements here, deep retracement, deep retracement, deep retracement, deep retracement, deep retracement. So what do we need to see now, regardless of the news? A tightening up. When you have wild price action at some point, what we look for is a tightening up. What does that mean? A contraction of ranges, a contraction of candle bodies, the difference between the open and close, some return to certainty. That so when we see a tightening up, something like this, and we can go back and look at different examples, of course. But as things tighten, it is communicating certainty coming back into the market or a particular stock. And from there, the assumption is that things are going to take a more decisive direction. And so while we have the retracement part, we don't have the tightening up part yet. So this could easily, and I don't know, nobody does, could easily go right back down again, and the tightening up could come at some later part. Who knows? Thing is, right now, we're still dealing with a picture of uncertainty here, a real mess. And so whenever we have a mess, the other part of our method is to go to a higher time frame and condense data and try and make some sense of it. And as I do that and go to a weekly time frame on this particular instrument, it doesn't matter what we do, we see that deep retracement and a bullish 180. However, you know, a lot of howevers when there's uncertainty. Um, in essence, we have a trading range that has developed, and we had this move down. And this is just a 2-bar reversal. We still need to see the tightening up. Maybe this goes up. I don't know. And that's the bottom line at this point. We really don't know. So let's stick to things that have much better patterns, more predictable patterns, and things that look like this than, trying to make sense out of, I'll just call schizophrenia or craziness. And we could even go out to a monthly time frame, but this is not done yet. And of course, we see an uptrend. And if it closes like this, what you'll hear me say is, okay, that's the bottom of the trading range. That's a bullish bar. Let's look for it to continue to go higher. And if it goes below here, we know it didn't work. Period. Period. Is it a great setup? No. All right. So we had been talking. Got some little problem here with my system. Anyway, we were with that head and shoulders pattern. We were looking for prices to stay down here and go lower. And the news came out. And so there was this huge reversal, as this news came out, where our sentiment, it's still neutral, but look at the flip up. There was a massive amount of call buying. And I even went to the CBOE site to check the numbers because it just didn't look right to me. After moving up, all of a sudden there was all this call buying, which you can see here. With the equity and the total put call ratio, these are low numbers that occurred at the end of last week. And so this is flipped up. So if we do get that tightening up, what we'll be looking for in the coming days would be to see if there's that continuation of bullish price action and call buying, which would give us another, remember here on was November 25th of 24, we had the risk off signal, and the S&P went a little bit higher before this correction, and many things topped out on exactly that day, give or take a few days. But now this flipping up as it is leads us to think, okay, internals, while neutral, breadth has reached an extreme. Maybe a couple of days that we get that tightening up. So there's a lot of guessing, of course, here, but the guessing is based on objective information that forces us to make adjustments to our prior analysis, which is required because none of us know 100% what's going to happen. Until we see more desirable historical patterns that are aligned with what we know works out well. All right, let's get rid of the mess. And so if we look at other markets, we see the same thing. a lot of whipping around, NASDAQ futures. Look at the Dow. And so this is a more desirable pattern. Let me say why. Because it's got a void. So many times what was the weakest, right, and weakest in a certain way, this accelerated lower, it broke down, deep retracement, tightening up. It has little to nothing to stop it from going up. That doesn't mean it'll go all the way back up to the highs, but it is a more desirable pattern on a short-term basis. Russell futures, similarly, right? Forget the 50. You don't necessarily, I mean, it's the futures. We want to see where it is on IWM. That could be a stall point, and this is what we call minor resistance area, just like this was, and it was attacked already, jiggled around, break, 100% retracement again. See if we get the tightening up and a move up from here, yet to be seen. So interest rates, and here, we had, kind of a heads up, meaning at the time where it was moving up here, the thought at the moment was, well, who knows what the news would be, right? It could have accelerated higher. But the distance between the highs, momentum was slowing and slowing in an area where these interest rates came up to the prior high, right? And so as this, has moved up, and I covered this in the weekend letter, each time over the last few years, every time it moves up above 4.5, the market has a bit of a negative reaction. So here it was like, will it go up to 5%? Was a reasonable thought. But now it's pulled back, and we want to see what this does here because it's in a buy zone area. If it breaks below here, markets should continue to rally. If this pushes up on a short-term basis, probably would be great. If this pushes up and we see the market's pattern tighten up, that would begin to enforce a stronger belief that the markets would go higher versus this moves up a little bit and the markets have an abrupt negative reaction to a small blip up here. That wouldn't be a good sign. And so some common sense and intermarket analysis to guide us there. Drill, baby, drill. Well, there's a little pullback here on oil, but if the markets thought Trump was a shoo-in, way back here, I mean, this was kind of just chopping sideways. Why did oil rally like that? So this reaction here, as far as Trump taking over and turning on the spigots, isn't that drastic a reaction. So I think there's a lot of a wait and see. Talk is cheap, so to speak. He signed a lot of things yesterday, which was encouraging. A lot of good stuff happened. But this is coming into a buy area, right? Minor support, 200 MA, 20 rising. Let's see if oil makes a turn here. Gold starting to tighten up. I was talking down here about it turning up, but it was just so messy. I couldn't commit to, anything. I'm glad I didn't because it probably would have, I don't know if I would have stopped out here or not, probably with that nasty move. But it's still just in the trading range. And silver, more desirable pattern, not great, but kind of tightening up. You can see the wide range bar on the weekly there, and staying in the upper part of the wide range bar. So we don't have great patterns here, not at all, not at all. But we'll see what happens. Transports, and I'm going to get to SPX here. This is encouraging, but we need to see. No matter where we look, we just need to see more information, which kind of was like, well, I want some pattern here to do something. Well, can't have it right now. Those different semiconductors, this is a giant mess. Yeah, it means watch OIH, and what Alex is saying, watch the drillers and so on. So yeah, we'll be watching that. They've already had a big move, these oil stocks, so and they're up at resistance. But some semiconductors look great, others look really questionable. So The one thing that I thought, and I don't know if you saw, Dan, I know you didn't, we didn't talk about putting anything in the ETF letter, but I posted this to buy on a pullback because, last year I thought, okay, this is breaking out, time to buy this. And some of the stocks within this sector look pretty good, but this looks, I like the way, look at this monthly chart. You got a bear sandwich kind of pattern with room to move up here. So I think most things are buy a pullback at this point versus buying strength. That's how I see it. And then you get to SPX, and I'm handing it over to Dan. You see things are gapping up a bit into those pivot highs, so not great. And SPX, I think the top side is a no-brainer. I don't think it'll ever get up there today. And I don't think it'll get down there today either. Most days these strikes don't get hit. I think it'll be more of a, choppy price action today. All yours, Dan.
Well, good morning. Happy New Year. Amazing day yesterday. And as I said in the letter, I was watching the futures while they were open, and they weren't open all day, but would have been interesting to see their movements as Trump was friggin' talking all day long. It's amazing. The stamina that he has is amazing. So we'll be focusing on what things are going to move. We're traders here. So new president, what does that mean for us? I mean, we're still chartists, but it brings us clues. I notice here fangs are very different today. Remember I was talking so Amazon up here nice. This was a put spread idea. Remember I was talking all week in the green room about this bull flag on the weekly. So that's nice. Google's ripping here. Remember I asked you all do you remember when this was an ugly red bar on Friday and I gave you all a quiz in the green room? I said, what am I thinking for Monday or Tuesday? And none of you got it actually. And I said, red bar ignored breakout. It's a big old bull rectangle. So that's a big old gap up. Apple's down a lot, but it's still closed with a bear 1, 2, 3. But it's one we would never short because it's down so much and no void. But I mean that could easily fall another $5. Get deeper into this. So that's ugly. Uh, Tesla, we have a bull call debit spread. That's up, gapping right in the middle of the range. This could be a 30-minute high day trade. Netflix, no good pattern. Meta, no good pattern, flat, but 30-minute high day trade. You got to avoid there on the 15. The video up a little, but we actually have a put spread on. No, we had a put spread and we stopped out break even on Thursday. 30-minute high, another put spread. Got a big void here. Let me go to alarms, like always, XME. I had an up alarm go off at 61. We are long this in trail mode. IWM, capping over Friday's high. This is a put spread idea. And XE. I'm watching this double bottom turn. We do not have a trade yet. Mara, we have a put spread, small gap up. And that's it on alarms of mine. Let's see a couple earnings here. Schwab, gapping up, no pattern. PLD, kind of a bull sandwich. 30-minute high is an idea. Triple M, possible gap and crap, call spread. This was a beautiful, beautiful bear sandwich. that because that's it's a breakout of a bottoming pattern bear sandwich with a void. Um, in fact, let me grab a screenshot of that. Well, I'll do it later. But that's a beautiful bear sandwich. Um, Gapping up to 146. Call spread idea. I'm gonna put that in the window. Triple M. 30-minute low. DHI is housing, bottoming pattern 152 with a void. 30-minute high, not bad. I like that. 30-minute high, fit V. A couple of regional banks look higher. It's a continuation pattern, looks higher, but gap in resistance. I think I posted high band in the weekend letter. Yeah, so that another continuation pattern, high band. So that looks good. Key gapping down, nasty gap, call spread if there's any juice. Grimy LPLA. Yeah, continuation pattern, sure. I remember I had it on my list here to buy a breakout. I forget if we did it right there or not. I don't think so. Qualcomm 5-minute high. Yeah. Why didn't my alarm go off? Hmm, absolutely. Um, yeah, I gave that as a directional and a put spread. Um, hmm, I gotta check my alarm. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, it looks great. It's in the letter. EDU, nasty gap down under a green bar, bearish monthly, so I have no bias. ONB extended, FBK continuation pattern. You can tell, I can, without even looking, I can just tell the way it trades. It's lighter volume and no good pattern. 4 bottoming pattern, but up and down, no interest. All right, that's all that. Let me go to some other miscellaneous things here. I think Peebo also had earnings, but light volume. These are just other news items. I don't know what the news is in this, but I posted it as a long. Big old consolidation at the rising 50, breakdown failure. So that I like as a long. WBA was a Climo, gapping down, was going to be a call spread, but now the gap's too big. Chio, this was this is a prison stock. That's where I found the CXW. CXW. Hey, this might be a 5-minute high entry if you don't want to wait for Friday's high. So, so like I said, back to Trump, not talking politics, but talking um, talking trading opportunities. So is this policy going to affect jails? Yeah. With his immigration stuff going on. So I posted CXW as a new pattern. Delta 20, YouTube, Curto long. Yeah, closing breakout. The problem is the gap's too big on Delta 20. It's gapping up 5%. But yeah, that's a big old bull rectangle closing breakout. Sure. Apple, we talked about, they had some poor sales in China. RDW, I don't know what the news is. 30-minute high, maybe. Target 17. STX, beautiful double bottom here, retest. Now, it's not a textbook W, but it's the same friggin' message. Momentum move down, breakdown failure, big move up, bullish retest, void. Now this is getting an upgrade. So I posted this as a possible gap and crap. Gap and crap. Got an upgrade by Goldman, I think. You know, why didn't you give it an upgrade on this the W bottom? So again, Trump and China. There's a couple Chinese stocks. Well, that thing's been stronger than its cousins. PDD igniting from a bottoming pattern, gapping up, put spread. Let's see what the juice is after a few minutes. TME, no. That's the PDD. I like the best of those Chinese stocks. C CXW alarm. Um, so that's the directional REG alarm. Sam, I think this was your cell setup. And I think I told you this is a power bar, so you would never expect a new low. But now that it's rallying, set a new alarm under the day's low. Brothers alarm, we're in this, we're in trail mode. Wow, alarms flying now. XLRE. So we got XLRE, US food. All right, US food. All right, so pull back in the gap as it go. All right, I like this. All right, Qualcomm's pulling in. XLRE. Oh, shoot, it's moving. All right, that triggered cleanly. Got the interest rates coming down. They like that. Tick 1280. That's very bullish. IWM holding well. That's a put spread idea filled. Qualcomm was a go on the directional and the put spread. NXE and 30-minute high maybe. Dell, low alarm, relative weakness. And I typically don't like shorting big old moves like this, but look, 5-6 bars, it can't bounce. So that looks bad. SMHs, see, this is like a fly in the ointment of entering new semis, but Qualcomm does look fantastic as a new setup. Fantastic. Looks like there's going to be no juice on the spreads. KNTK alarm, up alarm. Let's move stop 64.48. Yeah, that's what it looks like. We only have a third left of this. Yeah, I said it's a go in our advisory letter. As you should know, because you get the alerts. Oh, shoot, our Tesla just stopped out. Look at Tesla 15 is tanking. What the heck? Man, that's a big drop. And Apple's falling, Amazon strong, Google strong. Cisco is ripping. That's one of my usual things. Costco ripping. That was a put spread. Lulu low alarm. I think that was a call spread. Party City, Sam, I think that was you. Mara low alarm stopping out. We have a foot spread. Man, my alarms are going crazy now. Unum up alarm. We're long that. Yeah, Sepang's in the letter. My alarm didn't go off, but yep, it's good to go. All right, brothers. We got our alarm ready. US Food Brothers, Auxiliary, NXE. Oh, NXE. I guess the weekly is questionable, but it's a beautiful retest here. Let me check puts. SFM up alarm. All right, I am behind. Our peg is ripping from Friday. Well, not ripping, but nice gap and go. Our NUE, we led into a covered call on Friday with that sell off. But I like the gap up now, holding better. Q's coming in, I guess, with some of this weakness in Tesla and Apple. SFM. That we're in this from the other day. So let me set no alarms. 142. IWM got slammed back down, so we got to check the premium. Q's falling hard now. What is up with Tesla? I'm not a fundamentalist, but I'm actually, they're talking about a make up alarm, but nothing to do yet. They're talking about cutting these EV subsidies and yeah, but Tesla, has been. I'm shocked that it's held this strong. All right, Unum, we are in long stock. So let's move it break even now. Yeah, did you all read Goev went out of business? Tick, tick, gap that big and it's coming in. CXW, I'm glad I said wait 5 minute high, so let's cancel it now. That got smacked. Wow, wow, that's a beautiful example of 5 minute high saving us. XLRE doing nice, bottom right there. All right, this STX, if you want to check a call spread now, this APP of ours gapped up and it's coming in. CX. The one and twos. It's massive. Yeah, see their SLB earnings. So STX has to be earnings after the bill. That's my guess. Otherwise, you wouldn't. Yep. You know what says it right there? 4 p.m. Yep. Forget that. All right. BMO up alarm. I'll reset the alarm. We're long this. I gave LMT. I forget is a directional or a put spread, but that's a nice little gap and go. Yeah, BMO looks great now. OGM, low alarm. I think we're long that. Yeah, OGM not looking good. Oh, oh, we're not in this. All right, cool. We're not in this. Okay, so let's cancel it. OGM. Okay, it's not in play. I just had an alarm on OGN. All right, cool. So I'm going to delete you now. Wow, remember Oklo? Remember, I think we traded at this day of this topping tail. Remember making the turn? Nice day. That's SFM up alarm. SFM. Oh, good. Looks much better now. Peg, nice move on peg. Peg leg. Diamond's new high. Remember I said last week for a new trade, I like diamonds the best. Sam, I had an alarm on your party city, but nah, nothing. Weight Watchers. Yeah, yeah. I'd prefer 30-minute high.
It's called Willis Tower Watson Public. It's an insurance broker.
I
Maybe
know.
it used to be Weight Watchers.
Yeah, it was used to be. Google got slammed down.
Everything got slammed down. Oh, Meta didn't, but that already got slammed earlier.
Yeah, so I had Google and Amazon as put spreads, IWM put spread, Qualcomm put spread. Oh, Dell was a call spread. I did give it official. Okay, so Dell, that's why my alarm went off. Yeah, so this is 112, 116. And there's not enough juice. I have Mr. Put spread has not triggered. Affirm. Gapped under the entry. This was 61.65.
Damn, why don't you see if the MSTR, I don't know what the strikes were. Maybe you can go lower and do them as it's coming into the gap fill.
All right. 61.65 is 35. So we're not filled on that. Hershey hasn't triggered. Lulu did trigger 387, 392. I was surprised I found so many good setups with the markets up so much. 37. And so that's not getting filled. Maybe the Qualcomm will on this pullback. 160, 155. Nope. None of these credit spreads are getting their premium. Not a single one. All right, Qualcomm. Mr. That's what's the trade. Yeah, see, I mean, there's no way we would have gotten filled. So that's why I do that on purpose all the time. So I know it has to, after triggering, it has to pull back. So I had the 345. Let's look at the 340s. Yeah, 53 cents, the 340s. So you want that?
What was that, Dan? I was looking at something else for a second. What number?
340, 335.
Yeah, that's below that little consolidation before the gap up.
GWRE alarm. Um, Strong. Brothers. We have break even stuff. The ping. NUE looking a lot better. Things extremely sloppy here. Okay, pin hit. Post that. Yeah, I gotta post accelerate. Welcome.